Hello, I'm S.R. Staley, and welcome to my video log. I'm an author, and I've written a couple of novels as well as other non-fiction books, and the video log series is really a simple way for me to address issues that readers have brought up or things that I've thought about as I've been writing the books. And today, what I'd like to talk about is the problem of teasing, bullies, and gangs. It's a crucial theme of my most recent book, A Warrior's Soul, which is out in July, published by Wheatmark, and you can find out more about it by going to Facebook and looking up A Warrior's Soul or going to my website, srstaley.com, and you can read more about it. What I think is important about this is one of the things that I struggled with as a writer was really trying to understand and weave into the story of the lead character, whose name is Luke, this difference between teasing and bullying and a gang. And all three of those become very important, and it's easy to get confused. Now, one way to look at this is, first of all, to start out with the definition. I mean, most of us know what teasing is, but tell you what, I'm just going to go to my iPhone, and I'm going to go to my dictionary app and look up teasing. And what is in teasing is defined really as to disturb or annoy by persistent, irritating, and provoking, especially in a petty and mischievous way. Now, that's the kind of stuff we all face, I mean, growing up. So that's not really enough to write a story about. And teasing, when it's done the right way, or teasing itself, is something that we have to endure, and we develop a thick skin. It's sort of, in some ways, character building. We don't like to be teased, but to be truthful, very often, teasing, when it's done the right way and with the right amount of humor, is a sense of, is a little bit like accountability. If you screw up and your friend says, aha, look what you did, laughed at you, or something like that, that's not something that's uncommon. In fact, that happens to all kids. So in A Warrior's Soul, though, the question is, when does that teasing, in this book, when does that teasing begin to become more than that? And that's really where bullying comes in, because bullying is where someone is trying to influence somebody else's behavior, and they're doing it under the threat of violence. If you want to think about it, it's a form of terrorism, in the sense that by using the physical threat or psychological threats, someone will try to manipulate someone else to behave in a certain way, and if they don't, the consequences will be significant. It's very different from teasing. It's very different from tripping over a hole in the sidewalk and then just feeling clumsy, and then your friends just sort of giving you a ribbing here and there about how you're clumsy at that point in time. Bullying is very different, and in fact, that is what becomes central to A Warrior's Soul, because the question for Luke, the lead character, is how does he deal with someone who really wants to hurt him, and wants to hurt him so that he will behave in a particular way. Now, the interesting thing is, as I was writing the book, because the book original theme was about bullying, what I began to realize as the story unfolded is that it wasn't just one bully. And if we think about literature and we think about stories in the past and even growing up, very often we'll think about bullies in terms of one person or character. In fact, what makes it more compelling, and I think what makes this story more interesting, is that it's not just one bully. There's a bully who is a leader for other bullies. And when you get a couple bullies together, you get a gang. And how do you deal with that kind of situation? So really, a gang is a group of people, or in this case kids, because my novel is set with the lead characters in middle school, so there's 7th and 8th graders. And the issue here is what happens not only when you have to deal with one bully, but you have to deal with a group. You've got 3 or 4, maybe more. And when you get those number of bullies together, that becomes a gang, and that becomes a far more complicated problem. And the interesting issue I have as a writer is trying to balance that, because Luke, he has friends that are good people, Lucy and Chuck. They have to figure out a way to overcome not just the bully, whose name is Dirk, it's the gang. And that's what sets up the story, because if you have one bully, you can bring your friends together and they can pretty much tell the guy to lay off, or the girl to lay off. But in this case, they can't. So I thought that was an interesting balance that I had to achieve as a writer, is trying to know where the line is between teasing, and I have a great scene in the book where Lucy, another lead character, who's a good friend of Luke's, gives him a lot of very gentle nudging, teasing as he's going off to the dojo where he studies martial arts. But there's a fine line between going from teasing, which is good-natured and a little bit of accountability, it's something we all experience, to bullying, where you're using violence and you're using the threat of harm to actually affect someone else's behavior. And then it's yet another step to make it a game. And so that's a central theme in A Warrior Soul. I hope I've achieved the balance the right way, but if you read it, let me know, give me feedback, I'd love to hear. Thanks for tuning into this video log.